The emergency signal came during the night cycle on Galactic Council Station Prime. Communications Officer Telrix watched his screen turn red as the distress beacon filled every monitor in the command center. His four eyes widened as he read the message. The message was simple but terrible. It came from Velnar 3, a peaceful colony world far from the protected zones. The Velnar people were asking for help. The Krath Dominion had come to their world with weapons and fire. Cities were burning. People were dying. Children were being taken as slaves. Telrix sent the message to the council chambers immediately. Within 1 standard hour, representatives from 20 different species gathered in the great meeting hall. Ambassador Zephyx of the Centauri Collective stood at the center podium, his silver skin reflecting the emergency lights. The holographic display showed images from Velnar 3. Smoke rose from beautiful crystal cities. Krath soldiers in dark armor marched through streets filled with terrified civilians. The Velnar were a gentle species who looked like tall, thin beings with large eyes and soft voices. They had never hurt anyone. They spent their time making art and studying the stars. Now their world was being destroyed. Council member Vash spoke first. His species, the Dorian, were known for their careful thinking. He was an old being with gray scales and tired eyes. We must consider this carefully. The Krath Dominion has a powerful military. Our peacekeeping forces are already spread across 12 sectors. If we send ships to Velnar 3, we leave other worlds unprotected, Vash said slowly. Another representative, a being made of energy contained in a crystal shell, pulsed with orange light. The Krath have weapons that can destroy our ships easily. We lost 3 cruisers last year when we tried to stop them near the outer rim. Our technology is not strong enough. The room filled with worried voices. Everyone agreed the situation was terrible. Everyone wanted to help, but nobody knew how. The Galactic Council had been formed to keep peace through talking and trade agreements. They were not warriors. Their military ships were designed to scare away small pirate groups, not fight a real war. Ambassador Zephyx listened to all the arguments. He had lived for 300 years and had seen many terrible things. But this felt different. The Velnar had always been friends to everyone. They shared their art and music freely. They asked nothing in return. Now they were being wiped out and the galaxy was just talking about it. Finally, Zephyx raised his hand for silence. The room became quiet. Everyone knew that when Zephyx wanted to speak, it was important. There is one option we have not discussed, he said carefully. His voice was soft, but it carried across the entire chamber. Several council members looked confused. What option? They had talked about every military force in the known galaxy. We could contact Earth, Zephyx said. The reaction was immediate. Half the room started talking at once. Some voices were excited. Others were afraid. Everyone had an opinion about humans. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council only 5 years ago. Before that, they had been alone on their world, not knowing that thousands of other species existed among the stars. When the Council made first contact with Earth, they were shocked by what they found. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. It was one of the most dangerous planets anyone had ever seen. The gravity was crushing. The weather was violent. Diseases and predators were everywhere. Most Council species would die within days on Earth without protection. But humans had not just survived there. They had thrived. They had climbed to the top of their food chain by being smarter, tougher, and more determined than anything else on their world. They hunted animals that should have been impossible to catch. They lived in places that should have been impossible to survive. They even thought that dangerous conditions were normal and fun. When humans came to the galactic community, other species did not know what to think. Humans were friendly and curious. They loved to learn about other cultures. They traded fairly and kept their promises. But there was something else about them, something that made other species nervous. Humans had a capacity for violence that was terrifying. Their history was full of wars. Their entertainment was full of fighting. Their sports involved hitting each other. Even their children played games about battles and conquests. And worst of all, they were very, very good at combat. We cannot involve the humans, Council Member Vash said firmly. They are too unpredictable, too dangerous. What if they decide to take Velnar 3 for themselves? What if they turn on us next? Ambassador Zephyx shook his head. I have met with human diplomats many times. I have studied their history and their culture. Yes, they are capable of great violence. but they are also capable of great compassion. They have a saying on Earth, we do not leave people behind. They also have rules about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The debate continued for another hour. Finally, a vote was called. The result was close, but the decision was made. The Galactic Council would forward the distress signal to Earth. They would ask if humanity was willing to help. Nobody really expected the humans to respond. Earth was far away. The Velnar had nothing to offer in payment. There was no strategic advantage. Most council members thought the humans would politely decline or ask for resources the council could not provide. The message was sent through the quantum communication network. It would take several hours to reach Earth and several more for any reply to come back. The council members went back to their quarters to wait, but the reply came in less than 20 minutes. Telrix was the first to see it. The message was short and written in perfect galactic standard. It came directly from the human military command on Earth. The message said, coordinates received. Flight en route. Estimated time of arrival, 72 hours. No payment required. We are coming. Telric stared at the message. His hands started shaking. He sent it to the council chambers immediately. When the council members read the reply, the room fell completely silent. No questions about payment. No demands for information. No negotiations. Just a simple statement that help was coming. Ambassador Zephix felt a chill run through his body. The Velnar were about to get help. But he suddenly realized that the Krath Dominion had no idea what was coming for them. The Deathworlders were coming. And they were bringing their war fleet. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the human carrier named Indomitable. Behind her, dozens of crew members worked at their stations. Some were human. Others were aliens who had chosen to serve in the human military. The bridge was busy but organized. Everyone knew their job. Elena was tall with short dark hair and calm brown eyes. She had served in the military for 20 years. She had seen combat before, but never anything like this. The fleet she commanded included 12 warships, 30 support vessels, and over 15,000 personnel. It was the largest force humanity had ever sent beyond their own solar system. A holographic display showed the route to Velnar 3. The journey would take 72 hours at maximum speed. That speed made some of the alien crew members uncomfortable. Human ships traveled faster than most species thought was safe. Standing next to Elena was her first officer, a being named Kelvin from the planet Regulus. He was small and blue with 6 arms and large eyes. He had joined the human fleet 2 years ago because he admired their dedication to helping others. But right now he looked worried. Commander, are we really traveling this fast? My instruments show we are at 98% of maximum engine capacity. This is dangerous, is it not? Kelvin asked nervously. Elena looked at him and smiled slightly. It is well within safety limits. We have to move fast. Every hour we take to get there is another hour the Velnar are suffering. But Commander, the Velnar are not our people. We have no treaty with them, no trade agreements. Why risk so much? Kelvin asked the question carefully. He did not want to seem disrespectful, but he genuinely did not understand. Elena turned to face him fully. She understood why he was confused. Most species in the galaxy did not help others unless there was something to gain. That was just how things worked. But humans were different. On Earth we have a saying, we do not leave people behind. It means that when someone needs help, we help them. It does not matter if they can pay us. It does not matter if we know them. They asked for help and we can give it, so we will, Elena explained patiently. She pulled up images from the distress signal on her command screen. The pictures showed Velnar children hiding in destroyed buildings. Families running from soldiers. Cities on fire. Look at these pictures, Kelvin. Those are innocent people being hurt by bullies. The Krath came to their world with weapons and violence. The Velnar never did anything wrong. They just wanted to live in peace. If we can stop this and choose not to, then we are just as guilty as the Krath, Elena said firmly. Kelvin looked at the images. He had seen many terrible things in the galaxy. Violence was common, but he had never seen anyone react to it the way humans did. Other species felt sad and moved on. Humans felt sad and then got angry. And when humans got angry, they took action. The commander called for a briefing. Officers from all the ships in the fleet joined through holographic communication. They appeared as life-sized images standing around the bridge. Some were human. Others were aliens, but they all wore the same uniform and shared the same mission. Elena began the briefing. Listen up, everyone. Here is what we know. The Krath Dominion has invaded Velnar 3 with approximately 30 warships and 5,000 ground troops. They are attacking civilian targets, taking prisoners, destroying infrastructure, standard Krath tactics. She changed the display to show tactical information. The Krath have strong ships with powerful energy weapons. Their shields can absorb most standard weapon fire. They think they are unstoppable because most species in this sector are not equipped for heavy combat. One of the human officers, a Marine captain named Rodriguez, spoke up. What is our engagement strategy, Commander? Elena looked at each officer one by one. We will drop out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. We give the Krath one chance to withdraw peacefully. If they refuse, we neutralize their fleet. Our primary goal is to protect civilian lives. Secondary goal is to capture Krath forces for trial. We do this clean. We do this right. Any questions? Captain Rodriguez smiled. It was not a nice smile. No questions, Commander. We know what to do with bullies. One of the alien officers, a Centauri engineer named Zella, raised a tentacle. Commander, I must ask. The Krath shields are designed to stop energy weapons. How will we break through? Elena grinned. That is the beautiful part. Krath shields are excellent against energy weapons. But we use kinetic weapons. Our main guns fire solid projectiles at extremely high speeds. Their shields were not designed to stop something physical moving that fast. It will be like throwing rocks through a window. The alien officers looked at each other in surprise. Most advanced species had moved beyond kinetic weapons centuries ago. They thought such weapons were primitive and inefficient. But humans had kept developing them. They made kinetic weapons that could punch through almost anything. Another officer asked about boarding actions. The Krath soldiers are known to be large and strong. How will our Marines handle close combat? Captain Rodriguez laughed. The Krath are big, yes, but they evolved on a low-gravity world. Their bones are light. Their muscles are adapted for strength in weak gravity. Our Marines trained on Earth with gravity almost 3 times stronger than standard galactic average. When we meet them in normal gravity conditions, we will be faster and stronger than they expect. Kelvin listened to all of this and felt increasingly nervous. Humans talked about combat the way other species talked about routine maintenance. They had answers for every problem, plans for every situation. They were not afraid. They were eager. The briefing continued for another hour. Every detail was discussed. Every possible scenario was planned for. The humans left nothing to chance. They prepared for combat with the same intensity that other species prepared for festivals. As the meeting ended, Elena gave one final instruction. Remember, people, we are not here for conquest. We are not here for glory. We are here because someone called for help. We answer those calls. That is who we are. That is what humans do. No one fights alone. The phrase "no one fights alone" echoed through the fleet communications. It was a human battle cry, but it meant something deeper. It meant that wherever humans went, they brought protection for those who could not protect themselves. Meanwhile, in the Velnar system, the Krath Dominion continued their attack. Krath Admiral Vexthor sat on the bridge of his flagship, watching his forces destroy another Velnar city. He was pleased with the progress. The Velnar put up no resistance. His forces would complete the conquest in days. His communication officer approached nervously. Admiral, we have received a warning from the Galactic Council. They say a military force is coming to stop us. Vexthor laughed. It was a harsh, cruel sound. The Council has no military power. They cannot stop us. Who did they send? The Centauri? The Dorians? We have defeated them before. The officer checked his data. The message says it is a human fleet, Admiral. Vexthor stopped laughing. Humans, the new species from the Death World? He had heard stories about them. Strange beings from a dangerous planet, but he had never fought them. He did not believe they could be as dangerous as the rumor said. How many ships? He asked. The report says 12 warships and support vessels, the officer replied. Vexthor relaxed. 12 ships against 30. The humans were fools to come here. When they arrive, we will destroy them as a warning to the rest of the galaxy. Continue the operations on the surface. I want this planet secured before those humans arrive. The officer left to give the orders. Vexthor turned back to watching the destruction below. He did not know that he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. The human fleet continued toward Velnar 3 at maximum speed. 72 hours until arrival. 72 hours until the Krath learned what happened when you attacked innocents and the Deathworlders came to answer the call. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at exactly the planned moment. 12 warships appeared at the edge of the Velnar system in perfect formation. The coordination was so precise that it should have been impossible. Most species needed hours to organize their ships after FTL travel. The humans did it in seconds. On the Krath flagship, alarms started blaring immediately. The sensor officer jumped in surprise as his screens filled with contact markers. "Admiral, the human fleet has arrived. They came out of FTL in battle formation. All weapons are hot. They are ready to fight right now," the officer reported with growing fear in his voice. Admiral Vexthor stood up from his command chair. He felt the first touch of real concern. Coming out of FTL in formation was extremely difficult. It required skill and technology far beyond what most species possessed. Maybe the humans were not as weak as he thought. "Open a channel to the human commander," Vexthor ordered. A moment later, the holographic display showed Commander Elena Vasquez. She stood calmly on her bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. She looked directly at Vexthor with eyes that showed no fear. "Only determination. I am Admiral Vexthor of the Krath Dominion. You are interfering in a legitimate military operation. Leave the system immediately or we will destroy you," the Krath Admiral said. He tried to sound threatening, but his voice shook slightly. Elena did not blink. "I am Commander Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are attacking a peaceful civilian population. This is not a military operation. This is a war crime. You have two options. Option 1. You withdraw all forces immediately and surrender for trial. Option 2. You stay and face us. You have 60 seconds to decide. Choose quickly." Vexthor felt anger rising in his chest. How dare this human threaten him? His fleet outnumbered them. His ships were larger. His weapons were proven in battle. These humans had never even fought a real space war. "You humans are fools. We have 30 ships to your 12. We have better weapons and stronger shields. You will die here, and your planet will learn not to interfere in things that do not concern them," Vexthor snarled. Elena's expression did not change. She looked at him with something close to pity. "You had your chance. All ships weapons free. Engage at will." The communication cut off. Vexthor immediately ordered his fleet to attack. 30 Krath warships opened fire with their energy weapons. Brilliant beams of concentrated power lanced through space toward the human ships. But the human ships were already moving. They scattered in a pattern that seemed chaotic, but was actually carefully coordinated. The Krath weapons designed to hit slower targets missed most of their shots. The few that connected splashed harmlessly against the human shields. Then the humans returned fire. The sound was different from energy weapons. Instead of the high-pitched whine of lasers, there was a deep, heavy boom. The human railguns launched solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Each round was no larger than a human fist, but it moved so fast that it carried enormous energy. The first round hit a Krath cruiser dead center. The shields, designed to deflect energy, did nothing to stop the physical projectile. The round punched through the shield like it was not there. Then it hit the hull. The armor, which could withstand energy weapons for hours, cracked and broke. The round tore through the ship from bow to stern, destroying everything in its path. The cruiser exploded. One shot, one kill. Vexthor watched in horror as 3 more of his ships died in the next 10 seconds. The human weapons were devastating. His shields were useless. His armor was useless. His ships were being destroyed one after another. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Target the human vessels with everything we have, he screamed, but the humans were faster. Their ships moved with a grace that should have been impossible for vessels that size. They dodged and weaved through Krath weapons fire. Their targeting was perfect. Every shot they fired hit a target. Every target they hit was crippled or destroyed. The Krath tried to focus their fire on individual human ships. 10 Krath vessels concentrated all their weapons on one human destroyer. For a moment, it looked like the strategy would work. The human shields glowed bright as they absorbed massive amounts of energy. But the shields held. The human ship had redundant systems, backup power, multiple layers of protection. It took the hits and kept fighting. Meanwhile, 2 other human ships moved into position and destroyed 5 of the Krath vessels attacking their companion. The Krath fleet was falling apart. Their formation broke down. Ships started trying to retreat, but the humans were everywhere. They moved through the battlefield like predators, like sharks sensing blood in water. Vexthor realized with growing terror that the humans were not just winning. They were dominating. His fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was being destroyed by a force half its size. And the worst part was that the humans seemed to be holding back. They were disabling ships when they could, targeting engines and weapons instead of life support. They were trying to capture prisoners, not kill everyone. That realization made everything worse. The humans were winning easily, even though they were being careful not to kill unnecessarily. If they decided to fight without mercy, the Krath fleet would be completely destroyed in minutes. Then the human boarding parties launched, small ships detached from the human carriers. They moved toward disabled Krath vessels. The Krath crews prepared for boarding actions. They knew how to fight in close quarters. They were big and strong. Surely they could defend their ships against these smaller humans. They were wrong. Human marines in powered armor cut through the Krath hulls. They moved into the ships like ghosts. Fast, silent, deadly. The Krath soldiers were indeed large and strong, but they had evolved on a planet with gravity much weaker than Earth. In standard galactic gravity, they were slow and clumsy. The human marines moved like lightning. One moment they were at the end of a corridor. The next moment they were right in front of you. They did not kill unless they had to. Instead, they used non-lethal weapons to stun Krath soldiers. Then they secured them as prisoners. Within 2 hours of the battle starting, the Krath fleet was finished. 20 ships were destroyed. 10 were captured. The Krath flagship was surrounded by human vessels. Admiral Vexthor sat in his command chair, staring at the displays in shock. His entire fleet, gone. Commander Vasquez's face appeared on his screen again. Admiral Vexthor, you will order all ground forces to cease operations and surrender. If you do not, we will come down there and make them stop. And we will not be gentle. You have 5 minutes. Vexthor looked at his remaining officers. They all looked terrified. They had just witnessed something they thought was impossible. A smaller force had not just defeated them, it had crushed them completely. With minimal losses, send the order to ground forces. Tell them to surrender, Vexthor said quietly. His voice was empty, defeated. On the surface of Velnar 3, Krath ground troops received the order with confusion and disbelief. Surrender. Their fleet had been invincible. What could possibly have happened? Then they looked up and saw human dropships entering the atmosphere. Dozens of them, all heading straight for Krath positions. The Krath soldiers started to surrender. They threw down their weapons and put their hands up. They did not want to fight whatever was in those dropships. The battle was over. The Velnar system was free, and the galaxy had just learned a very important lesson. When you attack innocent people, when you hurt those who cannot defend themselves, the humans will come, and they will make you regret it. The human dropships landed in the ruined streets of the Velnar capital city. The ramps lowered and Marines in heavy armor stepped out into the smoke and dust. They moved carefully, their weapons ready, scanning for any remaining threats. Behind the combat troops came the rescue teams. Medics, engineers, and support personnel. They carried medical supplies, food, water purification equipment, and construction tools. While the military had won the battle in orbit, now the real work began, helping the survivors. The Velnar people watched from their hiding places with terrified eyes. They had spent days running from Krath soldiers. They had seen their cities destroyed, their friends and family killed or taken away. Now new aliens were landing, bigger aliens, wearing armor that looked even more dangerous than what the Krath wore. The Velnar did not know whether these new arrivals were friends or just different enemies. They stayed hidden and watched. Sergeant Marcus Cole led his squad through the streets. He was a big man, even by human standards, over 2 meters tall and built like a boulder. His armor made him look even more massive. He carried a rifle that could punch through concrete. To the Velnar hiding in the ruins, he must have looked like a monster. Marcus stopped his squad near a collapsed building. His armor sensors detected life signs underneath the rubble, multiple signatures, probably a family group. We have survivors in that building. Jensen, Martinez, start clearing that debris. Careful now. The structure is unstable, Marcus ordered. Two Marines moved forward and began removing rubble carefully. They used their armor's strength to lift pieces that would have required heavy machinery otherwise, but they moved slowly, gently, making sure not to cause any more collapses. Marcus approached the partially buried entrance. He could hear movement inside, frightened breathing. Whoever was in there was alive but scared. He activated his translator and spoke in Velnar language. The translation was not perfect, but it was good enough. "Hello. My name is Marcus. I am a human. We are here to help you. The bad soldiers are gone. You are safe now. We are going to get you out. Please stay calm. We will be very careful." He heard a small voice from inside. "A child. Please do not hurt us. We did nothing wrong." Marcus felt his heart break a little. These people had been through so much, they were so scared. He softened his voice as much as he could. "I know you did nothing wrong. You are good people. The bad soldiers hurt you because they are bullies. But we stopped them. We came because you called for help. We will never hurt you, I promise. We are the good guys." It took 6 hours to safely excavate the family. 6 hours of careful work, moving one piece of rubble at a time, checking every beam and support, making sure nothing would collapse. Marcus stayed there the entire time, talking to the family, keeping them calm, letting them know that someone cared. Finally, they made an opening large enough. Marcus removed his helmet so they could see his face. He wanted them to see that he was real. Not a machine. Not a monster. Just a person who wanted to help. He reached into the hole with his armored hand. "Come on. Take my hand. I will pull you out." A small Velnar hand, thin and delicate, touched his armored glove. Marcus closed his hand gently around it and pulled. A child emerged. Then another. Then 2 adults. A whole family. They were dirty and scared and hurt, but alive. Marcus called for a medic. Within seconds, a human medic arrived with supplies. She knelt down to the Velnar family's level, making herself seem smaller and less threatening. She checked each of them for injuries, speaking softly the whole time, explaining what she was doing, making sure they understood that she was helping. One of the Velnar adults looked at Marcus with confusion. "Why did you help us? You do not know us. We cannot pay you. Your ships could have just destroyed everything from orbit. Why did you come down here?" Marcus smiled. "Because you needed help. That is enough reason." Throughout the city, similar scenes were happening. Human teams were pulling people from collapsed buildings, setting up medical stations, distributing food and water. Engineers were working on restoring power and water systems. They worked day and night without stopping. The Velnar slowly came out of hiding. They watched in amazement as these massive armored beings helped them with such gentleness. Human soldiers who could tear apart battle tanks were carrying Velnar children on their shoulders. Marines who had just won a space battle were now teaching Velnar teenagers how to purify water. One scene that spread throughout the galaxy later showed a human Marine sitting on a pile of rubble. He had removed his helmet and was sharing his rations with a group of Velnar children. They sat around him, listening as he told them stories about Earth, about oceans and mountains and animals. The children laughed for the first time in days. Ambassador Zephyx had come down to the surface to observe the relief efforts. He walked through the city with Commander Vasquez. Everywhere they went, they saw humans working alongside Velnar survivors, not as conquerors and conquered, but as friends helping friends. "This is remarkable," Zephyx said quietly. "In all my years, I have never seen a military force that considers rescue operations as important as combat operations. Most species celebrate their warriors. You celebrate your rescuers." Elena looked at him. "On Earth, we have firefighters, people who run into burning buildings when everyone else is running out. We have lifeguards who swim into dangerous waters to save drowning people. We have medics who go into combat zones to treat the wounded. We teach our children that the greatest heroes are not the ones who are best at destroying things. The greatest heroes are the ones who are best at saving people." She gestured toward her Marines. Every one of these soldiers trained for years to learn how to fight. But they also trained for years to learn how to rescue people, how to give medical aid, how to rebuild infrastructure. We believe that if you have the power to hurt, you also have the responsibility to help. Zephyx watched as a human engineer worked with a group of Velnar technicians. The human was showing them how to repair their power grid using human technology. He was not doing the work for them. He was teaching them, helping them learn, so they could rebuild on their own when the humans left. You really are going to leave, aren't you? You're not going to stay and take control. You are not going to demand tribute or set up a government. You will help them rebuild and then you will go home, Zephyx said. It was not a question. He already knew the answer. Elena nodded. This is their world, not ours. We came because they needed help. When they do not need us anymore, we will leave. That is how it should be. Over the next several days, the Velnar began to understand what humans truly were. Yes, they were dangerous. Yes, they were powerful warriors. But they were also kind. They were also compassionate. They were protectors who chose to use their strength to defend those who could not defend themselves. A ceremony was held in the center of the capital city. The Velnar wanted to thank the humans formally. The entire population that could walk gathered in the main plaza. Human ships hung in the sky above, still on guard, still protecting. The Velnar leader, an elderly being named Celine, stood before Commander Vasquez. You came when we called. You asked nothing in return. You fought for us. You saved us. You helped us rebuild. Words cannot express our gratitude. The Velnar people will never forget what humanity has done for us. Elena bowed respectfully. We did what anyone should do when they hear a call for help. We hope that the galaxy learns from this. We hope that more species will choose to protect the innocent. That is how we build a better future. Together, the Velnar cheered. It was a sound of joy and hope. The sound of people who had survived darkness and found light again. The sound of a species that now had friends among the stars. And the humans, these strange beings from a death world, smiled and cheered with them, because that was what this had always been about. Not conquest, not glory. Just helping people who needed help. Just answering a call for aid. Just doing what was right. 2 weeks after the battle, Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Indomitable for the last time before departure. The Velnar system was peaceful again. The cities were being rebuilt. The wounded were healing. The Krath prisoners had been transferred to Galactic Council custody for trial. It was time for the human fleet to go home. But before they left, Elena had one more thing to do. She stood in front of the main communications array. Every ship in the fleet was ready to broadcast her message. Not just to the Velnar system. Not just to the Galactic Council, but to every listening post in the entire sector. To every planet, station, and ship that might hear. Open all channels, she said calmly. The communications officer nodded. All channels open, Commander. You are broadcasting to everyone. Elena took a breath and began to speak. Her voice was steady and clear. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Fleet speaking to all who can hear this message. 2 weeks ago, the peaceful Velnar people called for help. They were being attacked by a force that wanted to destroy them. They had no weapons, no military, no way to defend themselves. They sent out a distress signal hoping someone would answer. She paused for a moment, letting her words sink in across the countless listening devices. Humanity answered that call. We came here. We stopped the attack. We protected the innocent. We helped rebuild what was destroyed. We did this not because the Velnar could pay us. Not because we wanted their territory. Not because it benefited Earth in any way. We did it because it was right. Because when someone calls for help, you answer. That is what good people do. Her expression became more serious. Her voice grew firmer. From this day forward, humanity is monitoring all distress frequencies in this region of space. If you are in trouble, if you are being attacked, if you cannot defend yourself, call for help. Send out a distress signal. We will hear it. And we will come. It does not matter who you are. It does not matter where you are. It does not matter if you have anything to give us in return. If you need help, we will be there. She let that promise hang in the air for a moment. Then her voice became cold, hard. But hear this warning as well. If you prey on the weak, if you attack the defenseless, if you think you can hurt innocent people without consequence, know this. We are watching. We are listening, and we are coming for you. The age of bullies and predators having free run of the galaxy is over. There are guardians now, and we do not forgive those who hurt the helpless. Elena's expression softened slightly for her final words. To all peaceful species, to all those who just want to live their lives without fear, know that you have friends among the stars. Humanity stands with you. No one fights alone. This is Commander Vasquez signing off. The transmission ended. The message began spreading through the galaxy at the speed of light. Within hours, it would reach thousands of worlds. Within days, millions. Within weeks, every corner of known space would hear humanity's promise and humanity's warning. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Zephyx listened to the broadcast with mixed feelings. On one hand, he was grateful. The humans had just promised to protect the weak. That was a good thing. On the other hand, he was worried. The humans had also just appointed themselves as galactic peacekeepers without asking permission. He called an emergency council meeting. The chamber filled quickly. Everyone had heard the broadcast. Everyone had opinions. Council member Vash stood to speak. The humans have overstepped their authority. They cannot simply declare themselves the protectors of the galaxy. This is not their decision to make. We must lodge a formal protest. But another council member, a being from a small, peaceful world, stood up. I disagree. For centuries, my people have lived in fear. Fear of pirates, fear of raiders, fear of larger empires that might decide to conquer us. The Galactic Council has never been able to protect us. Now someone is offering that protection. I welcome it. The debate continued for hours. But slowly, a pattern emerged. The large, powerful species were worried about human interference. But the small, weak species were relieved. Finally, someone was offering to protect them. Finally, someone cared about their safety. While the council debated, the effects of the human message were already being felt across the galaxy. In the Outer Rim territories, a group of pirates was planning to raid a small mining colony. They had done this dozens of times before. The colony had no defenses, easy prey. But their leader had heard the human broadcast. He remembered what happened to the Krath fleet. The pirates decided to find easier targets somewhere else, far away from human patrol routes. On a slave trading station, merchants who dealt in buying and selling sentient beings suddenly found their business drying up. Suppliers were afraid. If the humans found out about slavery, they would come. And when humans found things they considered morally wrong, they did not negotiate. They acted. The slave traders began shutting down operations and fleeing to distant systems. But the most important effects were felt by the peaceful species. Small colonies that had lived in constant fear suddenly felt hope. Trading outposts that had been vulnerable to attack felt safer. Research stations on the frontier felt protected. They all knew that if trouble came, they could call for help. And help would come. 6 months after the Velnar rescue, Earth established the Guardian Fleet. It was a volunteer force made up of ships from many nations on Earth. Their only mission was to respond to distress calls. They patrolled the space lanes. They investigated suspicious activity. They showed up wherever there was trouble. The Guardian ships were always ready, always listening, always watching. They did not interfere in local politics. They did not take sides in disputes. But when someone attacked the innocent, when someone preyed on the weak, the Guardians came. Fast, hard, unstoppable. Crime in the sector dropped by 70% in the first year. Piracy almost disappeared. Slavery became too dangerous to practice. The bullies and predators of the galaxy learned that there were consequences now. The days of attacking whoever you wanted were over. 1 year after the Velnar incident, a small trading vessel in a remote system was attacked by raiders. The ship's captain was an old Centauri merchant named Vela. She had been trading these routes for 50 years. She had been attacked many times before. Usually she just gave the raiders what they wanted and hoped they would not kill her crew. But this time was different. This time she had heard the stories. She knew about the Guardian Fleet. She knew what humans had done for the Velnar. So when the raiders demanded she surrender, she did something she had never done before. She activated her emergency beacon and sent out a distress signal. The raiders laughed. "Who do you think is going to save you out here, old woman? We are days from any patrol route. By the time anyone arrives, you will be dead and we will be gone." Bella smiled. She had seen many things in her long life. She had learned to read people. And she could tell these raiders had never met humans before. They were about to learn. 5 minutes later, A human guardian ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel right next to them. It was a destroyer named Defiant, small but powerful, fast but deadly. The communication channel crackled to life. A human voice, calm and confident, spoke. "This is the human vessel Defiant. We received a distress signal. Raider vessel. You have 10 seconds to power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply, we will disable your ship. We strongly recommend compliance. Cavalry's here. Hold tight." The raiders took one look at the human ship and surrendered immediately. They had heard the stories too. They knew what happened to people who fought humans. It never ended well. After the raiders were secured and taken away for trial, the human captain contacted Vela. "Are you and your crew safe, Captain? Do you need any assistance?" Vela had tears in her eyes. For 50 years, she had been afraid every time she left port, afraid that this trip would be the one where raiders killed her and her crew. Now, for the first time in her life, she felt safe. "We are safe. Thank you. Thank you so much. I never thought anyone would actually come," Vela said, her voice breaking with emotion. The human captain's voice was warm and kind. "Someone will always come now. That is a promise. Safe travels, Captain. If you need us again, just call. We will be listening." The human ship departed, jumping back to faster-than-light speed to continue its patrol. Watching, listening, ready to answer the next call. And across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, billions of people slept a little easier, because they knew that if trouble came, if they needed help, they were not alone anymore. Somewhere out there, the humans were watching. The Deathworlders, the Protectors, the Guardians. The galaxy had changed, and it would never be the same again, because humanity had arrived. And they brought with them a simple but powerful idea, that the strong should protect the weak, that no one should fight alone, that when someone calls for help, you answer, always.